Like in our circus consists of 4 the guys.
Yes.
Is myself, Tupac, and Snoop. So we sat down and we was eating and we was conversating. And me and Hammer go way back. So we was like, yeah, people trying to say Hammer, shit ain't the bomb no more. So everybody's like, wait a minute, it ain't their decision to say what's good and what's not good. It's our decision. So we said, okay, we finna call Hammer and put Hammer on death row. And we're gonna go in there and make a record and make Hammer go sell all the records that he normally would sell and show the world, because there's a lot of people imitating what Death Row does.
Why do so many people get on Hammer? I mean, the man sold 10 million records.
I'm not getting on Hammer, and I'm not gonna say he did sell 10 million records, but crack fiends bought 10 million rocks. That don't mean crack is good. I don't mean nothing. I'm down with him because he's a brother and he's making his mail. But, however, he's diluting rap. You know what I'm saying? He's playing that Sambo role, and the reason everybody's buying his record is because he's no threat, and everybody want to see Sambo dance.
Suge tried to destroy my record company with the help of others, Dre. So right now we're getting everything back together and we finna come out, fully loaded.
Isn't Suge a little unhinged?
I don't know.
He ran someone over like twice.
I don't know about that, but one of the funniest stories I heard, Suge had an apartment full of producers. I guess they wasn't coming up with the right songs. Yeah. He gathered them all up and said, look, either y'all start producing some hits or I'm gonna start producing some hits.
Hammer was a big dog, man. He got respect in the streets. He came from a respected crew. They handled business, him and his brother Lewis and the crew. Without spending any money, Hammer could have told some people to f him the f up. I know who Hammer was affiliated with, and he wouldn't have to pay. We from Oakland.
We talking about Hammer, but run up on
Hammer beat your
Hammer beat your
Hammer. Come on, bad. Run up on Hammer.
That goddamn MC Hammer, very serious about beef. Oh, you gonna talk about my dancing pants? I see you. And he will whoop out.
And after Redman's interview, I will never disrespect Hammer. His entourage was something like I never seen in my life. Like, it was literally
100 people.
More than 100 people, probably.
That's actually how he.
That's actually how he. Girls, guys, gangsters, dancers.
Everybody.
I go right on Hammer because they said he is that real, and it was like low.
Production company, Whole Nine, they had just signed a contract with MC Hammer. And so they were like, well, Hammer wants to see you guys as well. And so when we were told that Easy didn't pick us up, which I found out now was a lie, the dude in the group who started the group didn't even tell us Easy called and wanted us.
Wow.
He thought it was better to go with, well, you know what? I'll be honest with you. At the time, Easy's, his persona was like, do you go with Suge? He's like, well, he's a gangster. You don't want to get killed. Do you go with Easy? You hear all this stuff talking about, oh, he was taking the money. So we thought, oh, we'll go with the church boy. We'll go with MC Hammer, but he was the most gangster one of all of them.
I heard about it.
I
heard he was.
Because you thinking, oh, I'll go with this guy to go to church, and you know what I'm saying? And, holy, all that kind of stuff. And you thinking, and no offense, Ham, but I really look back and go, God, we should have stayed with Easy. You know what I'm saying?
We should have stayed with Easy.
Yeah. Easy was honestly, a lot of stuff you talk about, he was a cool dude. A lot of wisdom. A lot of people didn't understand that. Easy came from a lot of wisdom. He came from...
I remember when Pac came over my house and he played Hit 'Em Up to me. So I was watching, the first line was, I f*** your bitch. So I've always, and when I say this kind of stuff, the Pac stand, they're like, you're supposed to be riding with Pac no matter what. Yeah. But I'm like, my job as an OG is to give him a little guidance.
Exactly.
And I believe that, and you won't just hear me say that. You'll hear a lot of West Coasters say the same thing, that, anyone that, I'll tell it to anybody, if you're not from LA, don't fuck with the gangs. If you come to LA and you decide, oh, I'm just gonna move into Hollywood Hills, and you meet some Crips, or you meet some Bloods, or you meet some Pyrus, or you meet some MS-13s, it's not the best idea to become friends and hang out with them or jump into that gang.
Exactly.
It's just not the best idea.
Most people thought they had MC Hammer figured out. Bright lights, flashy outfits, dance moves so smooth they looked unreal. To the public, he was the safe face of hip-hop, the rapper your parents didn't mind you listening to, the guy with shiny pants and a smile. But what almost nobody understood at the time was that behind that image sat a level of street respect that made even the most feared names in rap move carefully around him. And once you pull back the curtain, the story gets a lot darker and a lot more serious than anyone expected. When MC Hammer first exploded onto the scene, critics wrote him off fast. They said he wasn't real hip-hop. They said he was too commercial, too clean, too polished, but that perception turned out to be dangerous for anyone who believed it too deeply. Because Hammer wasn't just an entertainer, he was a man who grew up in East Oakland, surrounded by real power, real consequences, and people who didn't play about respect, especially when family was involved. That side of Hammer stayed mostly hidden during his rise. And maybe that's why so many artists felt comfortable throwing shots. They assumed he wouldn't respond. Or worse, that he couldn't. They were wrong. One of the first people to realize this was Suge Knight. Before Death Row became infamous, before Suge's reputation fully solidified, he crossed paths with Hammer and quickly understood something wasn't adding up. The same man who made the world dance could flip the atmosphere of a room without raising his voice. People noticed Suge, a man who intimidated almost everyone, looked noticeably tense around Hammer. That alone made insiders start asking questions. Hammer didn't have to posture. He didn't need to threaten. His presence did the work for him. The roots of that respect go back long before fame. Hammer grew up in Oakland during a time when power wasn't measured by charts or album sales. It was measured by who you knew, where you came from, and whether people trusted your word. His family wasn't removed from that environment. They lived inside it. That meant he understood something early that many artists didn't learn until it was too late. Words travel, disrespect multiplies, and once certain lines are crossed, there's no walking it back. That lesson came crashing into the spotlight during the infamous situation involving Third Base. What started as competitive talk turned personal in a way that shocked everyone. Third Base dropped lyrics that didn't just critique Hammer's music, they mentioned his mother. And in Hammer's world, that wasn't a metaphor. That wasn't rap bravado. That was a violation. According to MC Search, one of the group's members, things escalated fast. While Third Base was flying to Los Angeles for promo, Def Jam executives received a phone call that froze the room. The voice on the other end allegedly asked if Third Base was on their way to LA. When the answer was yes, the caller calmly responded, "Good, they're dead." Then the line went dead. That wasn't a threat meant to trend. That was meant to land. Rumors spread that a serious hit had been discussed, allegedly involving known street figures in Los Angeles. Whether every detail was true or not, almost didn't matter. The fear was real. Russell Simmons stepped in immediately, arranging protection for the group because nobody wanted to find out how far this situation could go. And that protection ended up being necessary. At one point, MC Search found himself at a mall in LA, signing autographs, trying to keep things low-key. Then he noticed people closing in from different directions. Faces covered, hands near waistbands. The tension thickened by the second. Before anything could spiral, their security intervened and shut it down. Later, Search admitted someone told him directly they had been moments away from ending his life, but chose not to. Not because they couldn't, because they decided not to. That's when the industry started to understand this wasn't a joke. Instead of backing off, MC Search went on the radio and doubled down, calling Hammer out publicly, accusing him of hiding behind others. That move triggered another chilling moment. The radio station received a call from someone claiming to represent the rolling 60s Crips, saying plainly they were going to kill Third Base. The group fled the station immediately. On the drive back, they were followed by a car flashing weapons, reinforcing the message. Third Base left Los Angeles shaken. MC Search later said the experience haunted him for years. Therapy didn't erase the memory of realizing a rap lyric almost got him killed. And through all of this, Hammer himself stayed mostly silent publicly. He didn't brag, he didn't posture online. His reputation did the talking. The rumors only grew. People started whispering about Hammer's alleged connections. Some said he had deep ties to street organizations. Others claimed his brother Louis Burrell was the real muscle behind the scenes. Hammer never confirmed any of it. He didn't need to, because people who knew. One story that really flipped the narrative came from an unexpected place. Hammer once crossed paths with Michael Conception, a known founding figure of the Crips. Conception reportedly approached Hammer, offering protection while he was in Los Angeles, implying that anything could happen in the city. Most people would have nodded and played along. Hammer didn't. He asked why he'd need protection when he already had his own security. Not rented guards, not show muscle, real fighters. 12 of them. And when Concepcion kept pressing, Hammer didn't escalate. He stayed calm, told his team to stand down, made it clear he wasn't intimidated and wasn't interested in playing games. The next day, Concepcion reportedly apologized. That moment spread quietly, but it stuck. If someone like that felt the need to walk things back, the message was clear. Hammer wasn't someone you pushed, and it didn't stop there. In the early 90s, Ice Cube released a video that many took as a direct shot at Hammer, mocking a rapper who traded street credibility for flashy outfits. The industry caught it instantly. Hammer did too. Instead of sending subs or hiding behind interviews, Hammer handled it face to face. When he found out Cube was at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles in Hollywood, he went there, walked straight up to him, told him clearly not to do that again. Cube backed down, apologized, situation over. No diss tracks, no interviews, just clarity. A similar thing happened with Redman. After a skit disrespected Hammer's family, found himself being chased out of Oakland by Hammer's people. Years later, Redman laughed about it in interviews, but he was honest. They barely made it out. And when the two crossed paths again at Yo MTV Raps, Hammer looked him in the eye and said one thing. "Don't ever talk about my mother again," Redman replied. "Yes, sir. End of discussion." Even legends spoke on it. Too Short said people underestimated Hammer because they didn't understand Oakland. E40 confirmed Hammer's respect ran deep. Fat Joe recalled meeting Hammer and realizing instantly that the smile didn't mean softness. All of that forces a rewind. Because to understand why Hammer moved like that, you have to understand where he came from. Hammer was born Stanley Kirk Burrell in Oakland in 1962. He grew up in a cramped apartment with his siblings after his parents split. Money was tight, space was tighter, East Oakland wasn't forgiving. To survive, you learned awareness early. You learned who mattered, you learned when to speak and when to stay quiet. As a kid, Hammer escaped through movement, dancing in parking lots, battling friends, studying James Brown. He wasn't just copying moves, he was building confidence in a world that didn't offer much mercy. At 11 years old, while dancing outside the Oakland Coliseum, he caught the attention of the A's owner. That moment changed everything. He became a bat boy, worked around athletes, learned discipline, and earned the nickname Hammer because he reminded people of Hank Aaron. That experience taught him structure, responsibility, how power really worked behind the scenes. Later, when baseball didn't pan out, Hammer joined the Navy. That decision saved his life. The military gave him discipline, order, and leadership skills that separated him from many artists who later struggled with fame. When he came home, he applied that mindset to music. Instead of waiting to be chosen, Hammer borrowed money, started his own label, and sold tapes out of his trunk. No shortcuts, no illusions, just work. When success came, it came fast. Albums went multi-platinum, tours sold out. You Can't Touch This became a global moment, but Hammer never forgot where he came from. And he never let the industry forget either. That's the part history often skips. Hammer wasn't violent, he didn't chase chaos, but he understood consequences. He understood leverage, and he understood that respect, once earned, protects you better than noise ever could. So when people look back and laugh at the pants, they miss the bigger picture. The man behind the moves was navigating an industry that tested boundaries constantly, and every time someone crossed the wrong one, the lesson spread quietly but clearly. That's why even today, when people who were there tell these stories, the tone shifts. They don't laugh, they don't exaggerate. They remember how close things came to going very wrong. And that's the final twist. MC Hammer wasn't dangerous because he wanted to be. He was dangerous because people didn't realize who they were dealing with until it was almost too late. So the question isn't whether Hammer belonged in hip-hop. The question is how many people misunderstood him and how different the culture might look today if they hadn't. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Was MC Hammer the most underestimated figure in rap history? And if this story surprised you, make sure you subscribe, because there are plenty more stories like this hiding behind the images we think we already know.